Alrighty. How's it going, everybody? So, I'm doing this in one take live. If anybody joins in to talk about the recent stuff that's happened with the Eagles, by all means, you're free to. But let's talk about what they've done today. Because we already knew that they were going to be announcing some changes to the coaching staff. But, specifically, we were looking for an offensive coordinator. And the search for an offensive coordinator ends without the Eagles hiring an offensive coordinator. So I had school this morning and then work, so I didn't really get the full thing until very recently. That's why I'm doing this late, because I've been busy today. But I'm really interested in the fact that the Eagles did not go for hiring an actual offensive coordinator. But after what happened with Mike Groh, I guess it kind of makes sense, and at the same time, might be a risk. What's going on? I'm just tired, trying to get this over and done with quick. Quick, easy, and simple, just talking about Eagles and their coaching staff. Now, they've done stuff with the medical staff. They've done some changes there, which were very needed. But, I mean, Press Taylor got a promotion. He is the quarterback coach, I assume, something like that. He's the Eagles are adding passing game coordinator to quarterback coach Press Taylor's title. Yeah, there you go. So Press Taylor, quarterback coach, he's also going to become the passing game coordinator. And then they hired another guy who was a former Broncos offensive coordinator and former Mississippi State pass game coordinator / quarterback coach. So I mean, they've done some things, but at the end of the day, it's no offensive coordinator. That's the interesting thing. And I don't know, maybe it's because of what happened with Mike Groh. They just don't want to try and risk it, because Mike Groh and his game plan and everything that he did in the 2 years where he was offensive coordinator, slow starts, Eagles struggled to move the ball, and when they did move the ball, something would happen. Or, I mean, the only good thing Mike Groh gave the Eagles was red zone offense, because whenever the Eagles got into the red zone, whether it was a field goal or a touchdown, they cashed it in, they got points. That was emphasized a lot this past season, especially in the postseason game where the Eagles made it to the red zone without Carson Wentz because he was injured, and they couldn't cash it in multiple times. So, I don't know. It's really interesting. And it's not like there's a lot to go off of, because, again, it was only like 3 moves, but it was big enough that they had to save it to today to announce it. But now, if you look up the top stories on Google or on Twitter, Bleacher, all that stuff, it's mostly just now the Eagles are looking at other options like Amari Cooper, some wide receivers, and free agents that they could get once free agency begins. And the fact that NFL.com is talking about Amari Cooper having 5 major spots to go for, and Philly being one of them, that kind of intrigues me. I never had any dislike to Amari Cooper before, even though he is a Cowboy. I didn't mind him. We're going into the draft like this. I'm worried. Yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting. But given the coaching staff right now, you got Doug and you got Deuce as your as your assistant head coach. I mean, it's all in a smokescreen, man. You are very skeptical about everything, and I don't blame you. But god damn, I'm the optimistic here. I'm the optimistic guy here, and I'm just hoping that going into the free agency and everything, that the Eagles actually do some things. But yeah, it is a strange situation. It's very strange, and I mean, I guess we won't really know for sure until we actually see what happens in 2020, September, once we get to that point. But until then, we don't have an offensive coordinator, and we're going to stick with that. Unless if they make some changes, that can always happen. This might just be a temporary thing. It might be the full go. He probably is. I think Doug might just be, because I would look at it like Doug himself, when the Eagles turned it on, it was Doug and Carson and the running backs, that really stepped things up and did everything. It wasn't Mike Groh. I don't think it ever was Mike Groh when the Eagles offense actually scored points. I think it was definitely just the players and Doug Peterson actually being smart. So, I mean, what else do you do in the free agency at this rate as a fan? You know, like you invest yourself into looking for free agents that the Eagles could potentially get, draft picks. It's all just speculation, and it's all just wishful thinking and hoping for something to happen. And only time will tell. You know, we're only in February. The only thing we have looking forward to is, I guess, what, the Phillies, because they start spring training this year, or this month. The what's it called? The Sixers have been on this terrible road, losing spree. 0-3. They just got blown out by the Heat. Now they're going to Milwaukee. Giannis is gonna tear them apart. It's all Doug and see. Yeah. And I mean, hey, all we can do now is just wait and see and be hopeful and hope that the Eagles know what they're doing as an organization, because the players can only do what the players can do, and that's go to work, practice, and play. That's all they can do. They can voice their opinions. They can do whatever they want. That just stirs up controversy and more stuff in the locker room. It's really Jeffrey Lurie and Doug Peterson. They both have to really figure themselves out. I'm not going to include Howie Roseman, because Howie Roseman and Connor Barwin are going to be on scouting. They're going to be looking at free agency. They're going to be looking at draft picks. So we'll see. That's what's next. That's your mindset, man. I look at everything. So that's why I look at free agents like almost everybody else does. When you look up stuff, when you read in the news, they're looking for certain things. And hey, who knows what the Eagles will do? We just gotta wait and see. What's the guy's name that always backs up Carson Wentz? That Dan guy. Oh, let me look him up. Give me a second. He was the former Bears Orlovsky, Dan Orlovsky, whatever that name is. He was a Bear. He was drafted by the Bears, and he was a part of that 0-16 run. He's the guy that ran out of bounds in the end zone, without knowing. And he wasn't a great player, and he's got an ESPN job with ESPN. So he's been a journeyman. He was with Detroit, Houston, Indianapolis, Tampa Bay, Detroit again, and then the Rams in 2017. And he's barely thrown passes and stuff. But again, even regardless of your play time, being a former player, you have that experience. You know what it's all about. He knows what it's all about, and that's why I feel like he is a little bit biased to Carson Wentz. I feel like he does defend him a lot more than he probably should, but most of it is logical, especially when you're going up against Max Kellerman, who is at this point in his career as an analyst just full-on dissing on Carson Wentz because the team around him sucks, and even with him elevating that team, he still doesn't think that Carson was good enough. So, I don't know. Hey, I'm looking at this year to be like a fresh start of sorts. And I say that in more ways than one, because the NFC is full of fresh starts and brand new faces, because every single team has a new head coach except for the Eagles. But the Eagles don't have an offensive coordinator. They're making changes to their coaching staff. And there's a lot of places that need the blanks filled in, because there's a lot of positions that we're looking at that are question marks. Wide receiver, corner, potential safety with Malcolm Jenkins not getting a contract as of right now, backup quarterback. We don't know what's going to happen with Jason Peters and Jason Kelsey. Whether or not they're going to retire or we're going to let them go. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Still need a wide receiver coach. Thank you for reminding me. We need one of those too. It'll be interesting. What can I expect in the draft coming up for our Birds? Honestly, I don't know at this point. With the track record of Howie Roseman and the rest of the organization, my mindset is get wide receivers. Go for the positions you really need help in, you know? And this draft class, I've already talked about wide receivers we can get in the draft. The corners, I bet you, if you look it up and you study the names and highlights and stats of this draft class going into 2020, going into April, you can find a couple of guys that can definitely play, you know? Unlike 2017 when you drafted a couple of guys, one was really slow, Russell Douglas, the other one coming off of an ACL tear, because that makes sense. It's a steal because he was a second-round pick. He probably wouldn't have been drafted in the second. Sidney Jones would most likely not have been drafted until like the 5th round because of that torn Achilles, okay? Because that's an injury. You look at anybody who's torn their Achilles, they don't come back the same. Look at Richard Sherman. He's even slower than when he was back in his prime, and he was never the fastest corner, but he was still a shutdown corner. And you saw how he played in the Super Bowl against Tyreek Hill and McCole Hartman, and Sammy Watkins. They tore him apart. They targeted him so much in that Super Bowl. It's crazy, and he's coming off the ACL tear. I know it's been 2 years since he did it, but that's still a very bad injury. And Sidney Jones had some really good plays this past season, and he had a really good track record in college. But with that torn Achilles now, no. Like, he's not the same player. And I'd let him play out his rookie deal and then most likely move on from him, unless if he starts to really show up and play. Because he's still got speed, one of the faster corners we have, but we need more corners. We need to retool. Get day one starters regardless of the position. If the corner is better than wide receiver in round 1, take the cornerback. But you know how our GM is. You know how our organization is. How much do you want to bet we're going to draft a lineman or anything that isn't a wide receiver or corner? That's most likely what's going to happen. And I'm not hoping that that'll happen. I'm hoping that it won't, and I believe it won't. But that's just my mindset because, I mean, hey, 2017, we started off drafting Derek Barnett, which was a good idea, kind of, but he hasn't really lived up to the hype that we saw in him. The next Reggie White, right, yeah, he's been inconsistent and injured a bunch since he ever came into the league. So move Rasul Douglas to safety. He'll be great alongside Jenkins, or he'll be great alongside McLeod, because they're both issues with contracts. Malcolm Jenkins wants a new one, and I believe McLeod is a free agent. So here, let's look up the Eagles free agents. Eagles free agents. Let's see here. We got a lot of free agents. Okay, it's a lot. So not gonna happen. Both line of scrimmage will be a draft heavily in the draft, most likely. Yeah, again, we don't know what's gonna happen, but free agents: Nigel Bradham, Rodney McLeod, Rasul Douglas, Jason Peters, Nate Sudfeld, Nelson Aguilar, Vinnie Curry, Josh McCown, Tim Jernigan, Darren Sproles, Richard Rodgers, Hassan Ridgeway, Jordan Howard, Halapula Vaitai, Kamu Grugier-Hill, Jalen Mills, Craig James, Corey Clement, and Cameron Johnston. Really, our punter is going to be a free agent? So there you go. Those are our free agents. And club option on only one of them, that one being Nigel Bradham. Everybody else is a player option. At least that's what Spot Track is telling me right now. So, I don't know what's going to happen. It'll be interesting. All I can say is out of all these guys, I want to see Josh McCown back. I want to see Rodney McLeod back. Nigel Bradham, just because I don't know what else we can do at linebacker at this point, okay? Linebacker, we don't talk about it enough. But linebacker, we have nothing there, okay? We should have never let go of Jordan Hicks because ever since he left, we've had nothing. Cameron Johnston, we should pick him back up. He's been solid at the punter spot. Jalen Mills, we should probably keep him just because I don't know what else we're going to do at corner. Again, I don't know. Byron Jones is an option. Chris Harris Jr. is an option. Like, we need a lot, and no one stresses over linebackers enough. But we need linebackers. TJ Edwards was good. Nate Gary hasn't been bad. And Nigel Bradham hasn't been bad either. And Nigel Bradham is 30, so we should definitely consider drafting or finding other guys. We used to have Zach Brown, but, we cut him for whatever reason. I don't even remember what it was about. I remember he talked shit about Kirk Cousins, and then we cut him, but still. That was a really weird situation. He went on to play with Arizona. Wow, I didn't even know that he signed with Arizona. That's interesting. But now he's a free agent again, so I don't know. Let me see. I missed a couple of comments here. You need linebackers. If the price isn't, I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do about Jordan Howard either. I get the feeling he wants to be back in Philly. That injury that took him out of the second half of the year, though, that's really concerning to me personally. I wouldn't mind seeing him back. I want him to be back, but maybe a target for the Birds in the free agency. Hell yeah, let me look him up right now for you. Get him in my history so then I can keep tabs on the guy because you never know what will happen. So let's see. Oh man, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be interesting what we do. That's a really interesting name. Ugh. But yeah, we'll see. We need the right pieces. Yeah. It's crazy how 2 years ago we had the right pieces and we thought we were going to be dominant in 2018 and then everything went to shit though. Like, I can't get over that. I can't get over how things went so downhill in 2018 and how things have, I don't even know. 26 years old, 4th round pick, and he's with the Bears presently. 6 sacks, 4 fumbles, 4 forced fumbles, 1 interception. Hey, he's not bad. Interesting. Honestly, again, I'll take whatever I can get at this point. Like, it's going to be interesting. And I tend to keep all eyes on it for sure. And we don't have long until the draft. We're already through 5 days of February. And once baseball starts, it's just a home stretch until the draft, and things will get even more interesting. But I'm going to sign out because it's been 17 minutes, and I'm really tired, and I got to get ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be another long day, so thank you all for tuning in. I'll try to stream more often and talk more Eagles stuff with you guys, especially with more news happening. Believe the talk about Robbie Anderson too. I really want him. That's one of the guys that I want. So I am gonna believe it. But I'll try to be more active on here and everything. I'll be posting more often. Yeah. Peace out, guys. Have a good rest of your night. I'll see you guys later. Fly, Eagles, fly, and see you guys later.